Hey everyone, welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium. Today's topic comes from viewer Bong Flash, who wanted us to talk about how and when we got into Zelda, and also if we immediately loved the game or if it grew over time.
So my first experience with Zelda, I didn't even know it was Zelda. I was born in '86, and my oldest brother had an NES, and he exchanged cartridges with other people, and I remember going to some friends' houses that had NESs, and there was a gold game, and it stood out like a sore thumb. I mean, everybody knows what this is, and I remember vividly playing it and just wandering around the overworld. I remember discovering level 1, and I remember discovering, I think, level 5, which is when you have to just keep going up the Lost Hills over and over, and I never really got far. I don't think I ever beat a dungeon. As long as you put it in, you play for 40 minutes or if even that. So you don't really make progress. So I remember playing that, I wouldn't say a lot, but on several occasions. Enough to remember it. And then flash forward a few years, I got a Super Nintendo and I owned a copy of A Link to the Past. And I loved the game. It was one of my favorites. It's still today my favorite video game. It was until years later that I was looking at, I found out there was other games in the Legend of Zelda series. And then I rediscovered the Legend of Zelda.
When you rediscovered it, did you realize then that it was the game you had already played?
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, I've played this before. And it was so weird because it didn't, I was too young. I was like 4 or 5 years old when I played Legend of Zelda. And this was now when I was like, maybe this was like 95, 96 when I played Legend of Zelda on the NES again. It was amazing. I loved it. Sometimes this has happened with a lot of video games where I played something and I don't remember what the name of the game was. And then I discover it like 10 years later. So this was the very first instance of that happening, and it was The Legend of Zelda.
When you played A Link to the Past, were you immediately loved that game?
Yeah, this was during the era of, as a kid, you got 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 video games a year. So my Super Nintendo collection was all of 8 games. You did some exchanging with friends a bit, but for A Link to the Past, for me, that was the game I soaked more time in than any other game. So I probably put hundreds of hours into it over the years.
Do you remember at that time what drew you into it, or is it the same reasons you love it today?
Oh, you're gonna like this one, but I think it was the map.
The map? Great.
I just love looking at the map and then seeing things on the map and trying to explore it and trying to reach new regions. And
I mean, that's a legitimate major appeal of Zelda.
Yeah, I remember when I was at Saturday school with friends, we'd be talking about the game, and we'd it'd be days where it was recess, but it was raining, so we had to stay inside, and we'd start drawing the overworld map on the chalkboard.
Really?
Yeah, and talking about where we went and the most random things like that.
Wow. Where you went in your own game?
Yeah. It was still in the instance of us looking for all the items, so we didn't know where to get all the heart pieces. When we were explaining things, we would just go over the top in doing it. So we literally drew the whole overworld on the chalkboard once.
That's amazing.
And we started circling, there's one here and there's one here, and we tried listing all the heart pieces we found. And
that's pretty awesome. I have the same memories of being 5 or something like that and playing the game. It's very vague memories, but my grandpa actually had A Link to the Past and he had Legend of Zelda, but I don't remember playing that, but I do remember playing A Link to the Past, but not really knowing what I was doing. Kind of the same story with you, just kind of wandering around. All I really remember is Link's house, the fairy fountain. I think I was just maybe wandering around that area and dying a lot. It wasn't a thing where I didn't love it or hate it. I was just playing a video game at 5 years old. So
what year was this roughly?
95.
Okay.
It would be.
All right. So it had already been out for a few years.
Yeah, I was born in 1990. My grandpa was really into Legend of Zelda, but he never quite he didn't transfer into 3D era. I do remember having recollections of trying to play Ocarina of Time with him and stuff, and he couldn't quite get the handle of that. The next game that I got was The Legend of Zelda. I actually never had a Super Nintendo. I had an NES though, that I got from my aunt. Actually, funny story is she went to a garage sale. It was a case where people just call things Xbox or whatever. But they told her, yeah, this is Super Nintendo. And she bought it and a big lot of games, but it was just the NES.
Okay.
But yeah, so up until a couple years, like maybe a year after N64 came out, I just played NES. So I got Legend of Zelda, and then I was playing a little bit, but I still wasn't like, this is what I'm all about, because it's a hard game for a young kid, you know? But then on a birthday, I got a Game Boy Color, and I got Link's Awakening. I got really into that game at that point, because we're always, you know, if we're on a trip or something, playing it, and I think I was started at the right age where I could grasp what was going on. But I actually had just regular Link's Awakening.
So you got a Game Boy Color with a regular Link's Awakening?
Yeah, like, you know, like whoever was buying, like, they don't know, you know. But I had swimming lessons with a kid, and he had a regular Game Boy, but he had Link's Awakening DX.
Did you switch them?
We switched them.
Yes.
I remember convincing him, like, this does you no good, right? Maybe he couldn't even play it. But I got Link's Awakening DX, which was pretty awesome, and I got heavily into that game. And what's funny is, then I was like the perfect age for Ocarina of Time. I didn't immediately get into that game. And then my grandpa got me Majora's Mask when it came out. I was 10 years old at that point. He got me that and the strategy guide. And that was like when it solidified it, because like I like actually knew how to beat the game, and you know, for some reason that's like when it really clicked. And I just have really fond memories of like staying up really late at night and playing it, and also being really scared.
Wow.
Because it's kind of
yeah.
I have this weird specific memory of staying up and play and doing the scene where you heal the Goron. And just being really freaked out because you're like following this ghost. I was scared. That's
awesome.
But that was the first. Link's Awakening was the first one that I played and beat. But that was the first one that I like really loved. And then I played Ocarina of Time and was more into it then. And I was especially engrossed by that game because all the commercials surrounding it. There was one that had the Hardy Boys. I was super into the Hardy Boys.
World Wrestling Federation stops for the Legend of Zelda.
He's got 72 hours to save the world.
Okay.
Not to make this a wrestling discussion, but I named my cat Lita.
Okay.
I loved Team Extreme, you know? So, like, those commercials with the Hardy Boys, I was like, well, if they like Zelda, it's over.
So
like,
wrestling got you into Zelda.
yeah. Wrestling, my grandpa, you know, is the perfect storm of family and wrestling.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah. And then since then, it's been, you know, that's like 10 years later than a lot of people. You got to do it.
Well, it depends on the age. I mean, there's a lot of people whose first game was Wind Waker, or whose first game is Skyward Sword, or first game is
Breath of the Wild.
There's a whole lot of those people now, or people that haven't played a game for 20 years in the series, and now they're jumping back into Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing a lot of that.
This is a very personal subject. let us know how you got into the series. I love hearing people's stories about it. Let us know what your first game was. Anyone who's Breath of the Wild, that would be pretty awesome. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. You can click the subscribe icon to follow us and you'll know when we have new videos. We also have all these other videos and playlists you can check out. Got more of the Hyrule Compendium. We have a series Mas and I do where we read the Ocarina of Time manga called the Zelda Book Club. You can check that out. We also have the Zelda Informer podcast. Hopefully you enjoy them, and thanks for watching.